Good day and welcome back. This is the final installment in the Marine Corps Harrier 2 build. And this is just doing the weathering and final detail parts and then calling her done. We've done all the assembly, we've done all the painting, we've done all the other details. Made some decisions on ordnance and stuff that we're not going to do. And then it's just going forward and doing the weathering. Now, this is stuff that I really enjoy. So the cool thing about naval aircraft is they're not pristine, so they're not really nice and sharp and clean, so that allows for a wide flexibility of things to add realistic depth to, which is nice. But you've got to kind of, or at least I feel you have to be somewhat judicious in how you use it. So I love using oils, and I'm still learning to master some of the pin wash techniques and so forth. I do end up using some MIG ammo oil brushes. This is the first time I've actually really had a good chance to use those, and I'm liking them a lot. And then I try a couple different techniques, something I hadn't tried before in an aircraft, but I kind of like. So let's go ahead and just cut to what we do, and then the final result. All right, so as always, I start with oils, and I just mix up basically a wash of both of them. I do the brown is actually the ammo Starship Filth, and I really do like it. Now all I'm doing here is I'm filling the chaff dispenser, and then I start hitting the white with this heavy oily black color. And going back and looking at the pictures of a Harrier, the white is really an interesting choice of an undercarriage, and it really shows the dark. And this black actually really makes it look closer to what I see in the pictures. It really shows up, especially on these on the two main wheels, the rear and the front. And then I'll transition. I'll use mixes of the black and the brown just to get that oily, grimy sort of look. And you can see here where that really starts to come out. The detail comes out, especially on this front undercarriage, and it really gets sharp, and it brings a look that I like. Then we go through, once I'm done with hitting all the white spots, these undercarriage covered parts, we start hitting all the panel lines, and that's again using the heavy wash. First thing you do, just like with everything else, you'll put down the main color, and what I'm still learning how to do this, because I feel like it comes in heavier than I want. I don't quite have the touch to make it flow smooth across all of the lines. And you can see here, as I start getting those lines right, I kind of have to paint it on, and it doesn't flow right and get the color in. So I then have to do the next step, which is actually cleaning them in. But the first thing I do, I hit all these panel lines. Then I go back, after they've dried a bit, and wipe them down. You get a lot of that extra oil off. And again, this is the beauty of using oils. If you don't like what you've got, you can just go ahead and wipe them away. But this, I'm being somewhat strategic and wiping away just what I need. You end up leaving a good bit there to show the coloration. And there, again, just a slightly damp brush and then wipe. Then I move on to something new and different. I tried pigments, and this was something of an experiment, and it kind of came out interestingly. Now this color, this mixing gray, is a lot lighter than I meant for it to be, and you see right here how that kind of is just a little harsh. It's too sharp. So I end up wiping away the majority of it, but it does do the same thing like an oil, almost like an oil dot filter, but it's softer. And I tried this on my Smarch too, and I did the same thing, and using the pigments as a filter just to show a slight bit of grime and dirt to sort of collect it across the surface of the machine. And that ended up giving me kind of a look I like. And I'll try this again on another one. It's again, it is dust, it is pigment, so it's dirt, but it's meant to show that. Now I come back and I do clean a lot of this back away, but it leaves a softer look, a softer dirt than I get out of an oil. So it's sort of interesting. The jury's still out on it, but I kind of am liking the way it came out. Um, I do end up flipping it over and put some on the bottom. And again, it's the same thing. It really ends up being like a dirt filter. So again, an experiment that I don't dislike, but I definitely will need to practice with it some more. Okay, and with that, this one is done. This was an interesting project, and I feel like I learned a great deal, which is, sort of kind of my whole reason for doing models. I like the subject. I really enjoy the Harrier. And for those of you who are Harrier aficionados, I'm going to apologize one last time. I know the colors, I know the markings, etc., are not accurate, and I do hope that they don't make you too squicky. This is, again, they're going to sit on my shelf, and I won't notice the difference. That's my bad. But I will say, maybe next time I will be able to be more accurate. I know I mentioned when I was talking about the Flying Leatherneck transfers that they were made for a Harrier 2 Plus that I didn't know existed, and I questioned whether there was actually a model. Turns out, yes, there is. It is also made by Trumpeter. It is also 132 scale, so maybe that will be on an acquisition list to try at some point. For now, though, I am content with what I have. I learned, right? The biggest thing for me was learning. I kind of had in mind thought it'd be really cool to have the whole cluster of all these bombs sitting here. These guys ready to go, but I don't like the way these look. I can spend some time painting, and I may do this at some point over time. But even if I spend the time painting these, and I can get this put on, that'll be easy enough to do. But I don't have the transfers for the markings, and that frustrates me a little. So having this sit without all of the ordnance is okay. It works for me. I also have a couple pieces that are broken off, like lost a couple of antenna, and I also lost this door right here. So this door is, that one right there is like this, it kind of pretty much is just a piece of strip styrene I can put on there and scratch build up. I have to do that. It went somewhere here in the shop. So replacing those two antenna and that door are on the list of things to do. I just won't do right now because, again, I won't notice them. It's sitting on my shelf. I do apologize for those who are Harrier aficionados and Marines. I know the markings are off, and it's on my shelf. I'll be okay. No offense meant, but the other thing I feel like I am frustrated with is the HUD. I really am crappy with photo etch, and maybe at some point I could pop that canopy and redo that, or what is most likely is I will leave the way it is, and I will build another Harrier. I'll build the Harrier 2 Plus. But I did learn, and I'm content with the result. I actually am kind of happy with using the pastels to sort of soften the colors. The oil work I like. I've always liked working with oils, but then just doing a slight dusting with the pigments really gave it a dirty, dusty kind of look that isn't filthy, but is filthy. You know what I mean? It's far dirtier than an aircraft. It's a used aircraft. It looks like a used aircraft, and that's kind of where I was going. The underside, it's a little dirtier than I meant it to be, but it is dirty, and that's kind of the look I'm going for. I was looking for it to have kicked up some dust and dirt and grime, and to look like that it's used and seen action, and it's pretty much the look I was going for. It's also kind of happy with the depth cord there. Is it perfect? No, but it's actually, it could be a lot worse. So I was kind of content with what I was able to make happen there. So with that said, I'll go ahead and put pictures here at the end, as I always do. And, I hope that, folks, if you have suggestions, hints, want to engage, please feel free. There's the message thing down below. The only thing I ask is, understand I am listening, understand I am learning, understand I know I am not an expert. So I am always willing to listen and engage, but I just prefer to be, respectful. I'm not an expert, don't profess to be. I'll either be a lesson in what to do or a lesson in what not to do, one way or another. Could go either way with this group. So anyway, with that said, see the pictures coming up, and I hope this whole series was useful, entertaining, or somewhat to watch. And until next time, please feel free. Go have happy modeling.